Lesson 11 adds another data validation tool. And so we're going to add a data validation rule to cell C7 and H7. So I'm going to go ahead and select those cells before I get started with the data validation. Then I'll go to the Data tab, to Data Validation, and under Allow, I'm going to click the down arrow and I'm going to choose decimal because I want to allow for periods like 4.5 years or 2.5 years, that type of thing. I'm going to leave this at between. However, you can see there are a number of different comparison operators that you can choose from here. And then I'm going to establish a minimum value and a maximum value. So the minimum will be 2 and the maximum will be 6. So one thing that we didn't do last time, we did an error alert, but we didn't do an input message. So you can also provide for a screen tip. Basically, when the person clicks on the cell, the screen tip shows up and gives them information about the cell or tells them what to put in the cell or whatever type of message you want to have activated when that cell is clicked. So on the title, we're just going to enter CU requirement, and then the input message. Okay, so there's my input message. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm not going to add an error alert this time. And you can see because I am clicked in cell H7, I immediately get the screen tip. So I'm going to go over and click on cell C7 and I get the screen tip there as well. I'm going to deliberately type a number that doesn't fit that range and see what happens. So I get a default error message even though I have not set an error message through data validation. So at that point I could click retry and enter a number that is correct. Okay, so also there is several other worksheets actually hidden in this workbook. So I'm going to unhide another worksheet. This one's called DB. And this worksheet is for depreciation. And it's a depreciation schedule for this proposed LASIK equipment. And they're using the declining balance method. So for those of you in accounting, you're probably familiar with the declining balance method where the depreciation of the asset is distributed over the years of the asset's life. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and extend this series with the years down through row 20. And then we'll come back up here. These are 3 of the required arguments for the declining balance function. The first one is the cost, which is the initial cost of the asset. Second is the salvage value, what you think you can get for the asset after its useful life is over. and the estimated useful life of the particular asset. Now there's a fourth argument that's required, and that is the particular year or the specific year in the life of that asset. So let's go ahead and insert, or actually I need to go to formulas, to the financial functions, and let's insert the dB function. So here are the function arguments. The first one is the cost, which is in D7. I am then going to make D7 an absolute cell reference because I am going to copy that function down through year 10. And I do that by pressing F4 on the keyboard. I go on to the salvage value and once again make that absolute. Go on to the life. I'm going to make that cell reference absolute. Finally, the period, which is the year in the life of the asset. So I will click on C11, which is the first year in the life of that asset. You see here that we could also get as detailed as what month of that year this is. But you'll notice that month is not bold, so that means that it's an optional argument. We don't have to use it in the function, and if we don't put anything in there, Excel will assume that that is 0. So let's go ahead and click OK, and then we will copy the function down, and we can see the depreciation amounts for each year of the life of that asset until its value has been depreciated from 250,000 down to 10,000. Excel will also do other types of depreciation like straight line, and it's I love these depreciation functions because they're a lot simpler than calculating it out by hand.